Okay, and we're back, and this week, Free, you've picked our 3D print.
I have.
It's almost like someone has got themselves a 3D printer.
It's almost as if I've been looking.
They're on the bandwagon. Yeah.
It's almost as if
listen to my advice.
No,
listen to my advice at all. Say no, don't do that yet.
No, don't do it. Yeah, you have. It's all right. Yeah, well, it's almost as if I've been spending time on my mini factory to look for stuff to 3D print for myself, you know. But I have come across loads of stores which I can't seem to pull myself off of. And one in particular that I found was Crippled God Foundry. His Foundry. And
cool name as well.
Crippled God Foundry, and they have got some really, really cool stuff. So not only are they on my mini factory, they are on. Well, they've got something up on Tribes at the minute, and they are on Patreon as well. And there is a wealth of good stuff within the stores. So whether you're looking for a nice set of miniatures that's kind of inspired by The Witcher, there's loads of Witcher monsters there, loads of kind of vampire hunter equivalent terrain. There are loads. So yeah, let's have a look.
What are the standout, or what ones drew you into this then?
Oh, well, the thing is I started looking. It was the Witcher miniatures because I had a particular lesson there that I actually preferred the style of. But they're just fascinating. I haven't in particular seen stuff like this. It's all very quite Sharon. Dark and Sharon. Oh, classic Sharon. But there's the terrain specifically, and the vampire hunters were what drew me towards the campaign. But there's loads of bits of scatter, and I think a lot of this stuff would fit perfectly in some kind of Witcher universe. But that Wendigo is beautiful. Well, they're stunning. But there's Leshens and witch hunters and many a different cute and cuddly thing, as well as dark and gritty.
I want to see the Leshen because of, Witcher season 2. There's a Leshen, and it's like, ooh, I need to check that out.
But
Very nice.
Really, it does really look straight from Witcher, doesn't it, at the moment? And given, as you said, season 2
hence
of
the
Witcher.
name Monster Hunters.
Monster Hunters, not in a similar font to The Witcher at all. Certainly nothing to do with the franchise. But the armor, the weapons specifically, they were really unique.
What's a Leshen, and where will I find one?
Leshen, it should have been on the first page, but
could be. I could be looking right at it, and I wouldn't know what it is.
Probably on page 2 at this point.
Might be.
That's all the Necronomicon.
Unless it's
stuff,
gone.
So.
Okay.
But there's your hag, there you go. Where is the Leshen? Your Griffin. There's your Griffin.
Are you a Leshen?
It's around somewhere, Jerry.
I honestly,
there is a Leshen.
I don't know what you're talking about. I watched 10 minutes of the Witcher TV show and turned it off because it was hot garbage.
Well, the games are better. The books are great. But these are all Griffin. There is a Leshen in here somewhere. I have seen a Leshen. I'll have that, or
maybe we'll stumble on the Leshen.
We will probably find the Leshen.
These aren't Leshens, then. That's not a pack of Leshens.
That's a general werewolf from the Witcher universe. But yeah, take a look through, see if there's anything, and I'm sure we will stumble across the Leshen if it is round. But I loved the terrain specifically, the scatter and the little houses. So I've been looking, as I said, I've been looking at a Moonstone board gaming table at the moment, diorama equivalent, and as you know, whimsy, dark and gritty, they fit in perfectly. So there was really nice stuff in here, loads of little. I'm going to be looking at doing kind of a swamp equivalent on my table. So this stuff really did stand out for me because it just fits perfectly in a beaten up old swamp. But
you can see some of the characters from Moonstone coming out of a swampy location like that, which is because that's what you're aiming for with the board, isn't it? Kind of Moonstone stuff. So
yes, definitely. So it's this shop was just gorgeous to explore. It really, really was.
Wow.
Because not only do you have fantasy, there's loads of different campaigns that running.
I love how a lot of the 3D printing guys are advertising their stuff now. They're like adding light effects and color and stuff to it. I think Raging Heroes is the first one I'd seen when they were doing their 3D renders and texturing them and stuff. And like, I love seeing this stuff because it gives you that sense of what you can do with it, or what
kind of aspirational, like. Isn't it? Yeah,
it's aspirational without giving you a paint job by Angle Heraldez.
There is that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Cute.
I like that.
Is this a Leshen?
Oh, it's not a Leshen, that's a dragon.
Should it be
I bet
big
you
or
this
small? Does Leshens have wings?
This is going to be the point
for a
where we
friend.
don't find the Leshen. This is where the Leshen
I've
has
never
gone.
even heard of one.
You've never heard of a
It's a
Leshen?
tree person.
It's like a...
All right, it's an ent. Is that what we're looking for?
No, it's the equivalent. It looks like the Wendigo, really, that we saw at the beginning.
Okay.
But there's horns and they're huge and lanky equivalent.
That reminds me of the villain from, was it the Dungeons and Dragons TV show?
Mm-hmm.
The kids show. Kind of reminds me of that guy, the guy on the back there.
Venger.
Yes. Although he had the horse, didn't he?
He had a horse.
Black-winged horse.
But he did have a single horn on his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Asymmetrical horn.
I love that. That's really
nice.
cool.
That's gorgeous.
It says that all this stuff comes pre-supported, I think, doesn't it, with a lot of this? Is it?
Yep, there's quite a lot of it's pre-supported, as well as that is if you're not particularly, if you do like the look of a lot of these as well, there is a store for Crippled God Foundry as well online. So you don't need to 3D print them, even though they do have access to them. You can head over onto their store and get them sent over to yourself. I know it's not the whole selection, but there is quite a lot if you do not have access to a 3D
Leshen?
printer. Not Leshen, sadly, no Leshen.
Look at the ship.
You need to brush up on the Scandinavian folklore, Jerry, and go find out what a Leshen is, because we're clearly not going to find one. I've witnessed dreams of a Leshen, but it was probably the Wendigo that looks like a Leshen.
That, where it's being,
cool.
It's knocking over the top of the
That's
turret.
very nice.
Was it the pirate ship you were looking at, John?
Yeah, I seen the pirate ship and I was like, oh, yeah, look at that bottom left.
Big haunted galleon.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Wow.
No Leshen.
Everything is a Leshen.
Yes.
That's cool. I like that. The
Oh.
big mouth at the front.
That's beautiful. Real
Forticles.
undead army.
Not the Flying Dutchman from the Caribbean, is it? Totally not the Flying Dutchman.
It's got mouths everywhere.
It's got mouths, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not going to be seaworthy, surely.
How else does your ship drink, Jerry?
Don't drink seawater.
Gotta stay hydrated.
Yeah. End up.
That's really nice. I like that.
That's
super
very,
ill.
very cool. Would you do rigging on that one, Jerry? No?
Nope. No rigging on it. No ships need rigging. Leshen?
No Leshen. I'm afraid there's no.
We'll be lashing you to the yard arm and.
Oh, Kraken's nice.
No. The Kraken's beautiful.
It's an unusual maw on it as well.
That is very unique. That's
Almost like a Venus flytrap.
I was going to say, yeah. That's
Hello,
nice. I like that. Yeah.
But if you do download them, if you do not want them supported, I do know that they do most of them or all of them supported and some of them unsupported as well. I do know that you have your options. Depends on what you download.
So it looks like that. I would assume this is the case anyway. A lot of their stuff is collected into these bundles that they've done previously on Patreon and that kind of thing, and then ports over to the My Mini Factory. So, if you miss out on something on Patreon, then the likelihood is you'll be able to pick something up later on down the line in this fashion if you wanted to, which is quite nice. But you also see, and it's a nice thing that I think we've looked at when we've seen basically any of the 3D printing stuff we looked at this year. Whenever you see companies like this who've been doing it for a little while, you see the progression in their sculpting style.
Sure.
So you can see that while these aren't necessarily bad by any stretch of the imagination, these compared to some of the more modern stuff that's been sculpted, I think you can see there's a progression towards a lot more detail and stuff as people have become more sort of in tune with how they want to do things in their particular style and sort of getting used to the mechanics of the programs they're using and that kind of stuff as well. But everyone needs a mammoth.
Everyone needs a mammoth.
I love that this range is called Road of Madness, and it just makes me feel like it's Mad Max Fantasy Ancients. You know?
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, what a lovely morn.
This is the website there.
Yes, you can head over to the website. They've got loads of different stuff on the website. So as well as the miniatures, you can get hold of your terrain and different bits of scatter as well. So really interesting to see someone who's over on a 3D printing offer them elsewhere for people that can't get hold of it as well. So there is a bit
3D
of
bit just brings us back to there. But what's the resin do? Are we limited in resins?
Ooh.
Ah,
Quite a few of the
very
monsters in
cool
particular.
scale.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
8 pages. Jerry's now going to buy these.
Like, what do we have a look?
You know, those undead that Jerry was
That's
talking about building.
Gorgeous.
that's really nice.
Yeah, that's lovely.
That would be ideal for a game like Silver Bayonet.
It would.
That would be ideal for a game like Silver Bayonet.
You
Creepy
appear to have
Nosferatu.
stepped into my garden, Seljo.
Oh, good old Count Orlok, everybody's favourite Count.
I love this guy. He's cool.
Ambrosio Anacleto,
Hmm.
the legendary swashbuckler. Your heart will stop either by his gorgeous looks or excellent swordplay.
Stunning.
He's very good.
He's still my beating heart. That can be arranged.
Just a big top hat away from being Solomon Kane.
Yes, actually,
Yes.
true. Yeah.
Very close.
If you painted him up all grim, then he'd look exactly like Solomon Kane from the beginning of the movie. So
Yeah. Yeah, because he's got the
covered in blood and sweat. And
got the
stuff.
little evil mustache.
Mhm.
That's how you knew he was evil.
Of course. All by the facial hair.
And her
But-
ever-living sorceress.
I like that. Oh,
She's floaty.
Hmm.
Floaty.
Very, very cool.
cool.
Ever
Leshen?
living. No lesson.
Shame. Anyway,
Yeah.
I really want this to become a meme of just different images and then Jerry going, Leshen?
Yeah, that's what it will become. Every time we go on to 3D printer now, have they got a lesson?
it's what everybody's asking these days.
Yeah.
With that ambiguous.
But their
no.
Wendigo did look
Oh.
very much like a lesson, so it's probably the Wendigo.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Those
They're
Sweet
very
stuff.
nice.
sculpted bases as well, I think, isn't it? As well. Yeah, it looks
Customer
yeah.
bases, yeah.
Yeah.
They do terrain tiles as well.
For your dungeon delving.
There it is indeed.
Mm.
Which is handy if you don't have a 3D printer. You can just
Buy it all.
buy them
Reasonably
all.
priced as well, actually.
They
Not too
are.
bad.
Yeah, especially if you're after just a big chunky
Mm.
set of them. I would like everything at once, please.
Give me them all. But
Bucket bases. Do they
They do
proper
outdoors
bases?
ones as well. Ooh.
ooh.
Rounds where your square bases. You failed me.
Oh,
Round
no.
No,
basing.
no.
There are squares on the bases.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shame. Just by the cavern terrain tiles and
And
cut
use
them
those.
down.
Like Dungeon Saga. Yeah.
Yep. Makes sense. So Crippled God Foundry then.
Very cool.
crippledgodfoundry.com and also then My Mini Factory and Patreon/Crippled God Foundry.
Mhm.
Question mark Leshen.
Question mark lecture. Hashtag where is the legend?